So up to now, we learned the exploitation concept and how to exploit systems using an exploitation framework, Metasploit. Now it's time to compromise the exploited systems and gather as much as we can. So welcome to the post-exploitation phase. As I mentioned before, putting the reporting and the cleaning steps aside, a penetration test briefly consists of 4 phases. Reconnaissance is the act of gathering data on your target. Scanning is to find more about the target, gaps, vulnerabilities, weaknesses, etc. Exploitation is to take control of the network devices. And the purpose of the post-exploitation phase is to determine the value of the machine compromised and to maintain control of the machine for later use. The value of the machine is determined by the sensitivity of the data stored on it and the machine's usefulness in further compromising the network. As you can imagine by the definition of the post-exploitation phase, the phases of a penetration test are iterative. You gather more in the post-exploitation phase and you use the gathered information to find more systems and to exploit other systems. When you exploit other systems, you gather more in that system's post-exploitation phases, and you use that information to hack more systems, etc., etc. So we have now successfully compromised the target system. Now what? As I mentioned before, exploitation and post-exploitation phases are the phases that separate the penetration test from the ordinary vulnerability assessments. The actions you can take in the post-exploitation phase is limited to the contract you signed with a customer before the penetration test. So here are just a few examples of what you can do in this phase. As you may remember, I mentioned before, all the sessions we create between the victim and us via Metasploit framework run in the memory. That means the session dies when the victim's system is shut down or restarted. Well, you can exploit the same vulnerability again, but what if the vulnerability is patched? Or what if the signature of your payload is defined into the security measures database? So what I want to say is, we'd better have a persistent access to the victim machine. Now, one of the very first things when we hack a system is collecting usernames and passwords, or password hashes from the system. Crack the password to see how sufficient the Institute's password policy is. And of course, you're able to use that password for other accounts you encounter throughout the test because of the human element. Collecting sensitive data from the computer and the network is another critical point of post-exploitation. Really, you won't believe what you've gathered. It's another common case to find some backups inside the computers, and these backups are, well, they're sometimes accessible without an authentication step. You think I'm kidding, but you learn and you will find. So at the end of the post-exploitation phase, you will probably have a lot of data and credentials that you are not authorized to have.